Hi guys, welcome back to our channel! If you're new around here, I'm Bibi.
Leslie.
And we do reaction videos and talk about our lives in Korea. And today is part 2 of a story time that we started, so you'll see this video right here. You can check it out, and yeah, let's get right into it.
Let's go. Story time.
If you're not new, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. So let's get into the second story, right? Let's rewind to before we were in Korea. I'm on this app called HelloTalk. I'm sure a lot of people know it, and you know it's like an app that kind of allows you to talk to people from different countries to learn like their language, right? And
which is cool in itself.
Yeah, it's cool in
Like,
itself,
the
and it's
basic is
supposed to
really
be really like secure. Like they try to like ban anybody who tries to do any funny business. So cool. Anyway, so I'm on this app to learn Korean. I'm talking to multiple people, including this one guy. How do we call this guy? Robert.
Robert!
But anyway, so I'm starting to talk to this guy. And we're talking quite often. He seems to be perfectly normal, perfectly cool, da-da-da. And we're talking a lot, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm in Paris right now. I'm like, oh, okay, super cool. I'm currently learning Korean. I'm planning on going to Korea soon. Let's meet up. So I'm like, you know, don't really care. He wasn't necessarily attractive. He was just like just a regular dude. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And I can like show you around and stuff. Because I'm quite nice, right? I'm a little bit too nice, actually. And I did it with multiple people. He's not the only one. I have like 2 other friends that I showed around like when they came to friends, etc. So it was nothing new. Anyway, so we meet, and I think the first time we went at a cafe. I think we met at a cafe or at a restaurant. Anyway, he spoke quite good English, so we didn't really get to speak Korean. We were just kind of talking, and I was trying to show him around. And then I took him to a bar. Went to multiple bars, etc. And we used to like meet almost every other day because he was here for a while. And then we were having this conversation, and he was just like, so yeah, do you know why I'm even here? I'm like, yeah, like are you just on a solo trip? He was like, yeah, I was supposed to go to Germany. I'm like, what are you doing in Germany? He's like, yeah, I was supposed to visit my girlfriend. I was like, oh, so fun. Like, that's cool. But when are you going? He's like, yeah, she broke up with me right before I was coming.
That's tough, though. That's cold.
I'm like,
that's so cold.
I'm like, oh no, she's really cold. I'm like, but how long have you been together? He's like, yeah, like a year or so. And I'm like, but when was the last time you saw each other? He's like, oh, we've never actually met. So I'm like, red flag, but I ignore it. And I'm like, oh, so y'all were just like online, which is normal. Some people have long distance relationship and never met each other, but they fell in love over the internet. So I'm like, it can be, you know, it's fine.
My only problem is that the girl, if she didn't want him, don't let him buy his plane ticket before you break up. Like, tell him before.
Tell him before.
Because that's a waste of money anyway.
Yeah, unless he was like, oh, I'm going to surprise her or whatever. I don't know.
Maybe.
So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so you're not going to go to Germany? He's like, yeah, I'm going to go anyway. I'm like,
I mean, might as well. You have the ticket.
Cool. He goes to Germany, he comes back, and we meet again. And I'm like, okay, so how was it? And he goes, yeah, it was really cool. My girlfriend didn't want to see me, so I was talking to this other girl, and I went to her house, and then I just kind of stayed there. And I'm like, so you went to this other girl's house, and you stayed with her the whole time? He's like, yeah. But she didn't want to sleep with me. I'm like,
okay.
Why would she want us to be here? So apparently they were talking, and I think something happened, like they made out or something, but she didn't want to go all the way. So I'm like, are you complaining about that? Like, I wasn't really sure what he was trying to say with this. So I'm like, okay. So in my head, I'm like, man, but
alert.
I ignore it anyway. Cause
that's a second issue. You should not. The second time,
like, benefit of the doubt, right? Because I'm like, I don't know this guy's story. I don't know what he's about. Okay. I come to Korea, and this is where you were with me, right?
Yeah.
And we were still talking kind of like on and off on Kakao, and he invited us for lunch in a very nice place, kind of expensive actually. Yeah, like traditional restaurant or whatever. This is where I was, okay, he's not that bad. Like, I'm, you know, maybe the past stories are the past stories, but hey, I don't know what happened, so maybe it's not that bad. So we keep talking, and we started like meeting and going to like bars, and we even went clubbing this one time.
Did we?
No, just me and him.
Oh, okay.
We went to Fountain, I remember. We went to Fountain, and we were just like having a good time and whatnot. And that's when we started kind of getting like closer or whatever, like kind of closer. And me, I'm like, okay, like he's not the most attractive guy on the planet, but he's nice, and we were getting along fine, and besides the whole like, I have a girlfriend I've never seen before, I was like, you know, maybe he was just being a hopeless romantic, you know, it happens to everybody. I'm thinking, okay, but like we're going on all these dates at night, but we're not really going on daytime dates. But I'm like, I don't know, I don't like that. Like some people might like it. I just prefer to sometimes have a nice date at a cafe, and we don't really need to meet at a club every time. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, how about we go to whatever place during the day? He was like, oh, I don't really know about this. How about you come to my house, to my apartment? I'm like, you want me to go straight to your apartment to do what? He was like, oh, we can just chill there. I'm like,
okay, all right.
That's when I'm like, okay, so what are you trying to do? Like, I'm like, what are you trying to do? Which is something I should have asked since the beginning.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I was very young and dumb. He was like, no, like, I just feel like it's better to hang out inside, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what you're trying to do, but if you're trying to just get me to come to your house so I can, like, you know, like, get physical with you, like, I'm not really interested in doing that. I'm sorry. If you want to date me, you can tell me, but I don't know about this whole being at home business. I don't like this, and we've only been out a couple of times, out and then once with my friends, so it doesn't really make sense. And this is when this guy drops the bomb, and I'm like,
yeah, no, that's the most
this guy
thing.
texts me, you know I'm attracted to you, but I can't really date you because of how people would look at me. That was the first sentence. It gets worse. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? No, because I feel like this is the kind of girl I was at that time.
What do you mean?
Even if I wasn't, it's just how I feel at this point when I look back, because I'm like, you were dumb as hell. So I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And he goes, yeah, I just feel like, you know, people are not used to this kind of relationship, meaning a black girl and an Asian guy. Okay. And he goes, I just don't know how they would look at me. And I'm like, so are you saying it would be better if I were white? And he's like, this is the exact word, because I will never forget. He goes, I'm not saying that I wish you were white. I'm just saying you would be less problematic. Yes.
I mean, how? My question is, how did he think that he would go
other way?
Without any problem? How did you feel like this was the kind of sentence you say and then, yeah, okay, sure, let me come to your house? Like, I don't know what was the thought process here.
What was the reason?
Exactly. No, but literally, why?
Well, we know the reason.
No, but you don't say, if you feel it, probably you feel it, sure, that's disgusting, okay, stupid as hell, but fine. But you don't say it. If you say it, that's it. I don't get it.
So, best believe I was no longer like, wait, what do you mean? No, I blocked his ass like right then and then. Like, he never even had time to even say anything else. I was just like, goodbye.
That's it. Like, you don't need anything more than that. Like, what the fuck? But like, what? Seriously, what did you think that he thought at the time?
I don't know.
Because I don't know how it could go well, this sentence.
Well, if you've seen the first video and then this video, then you will notice a certain pattern. And let me tell you, these are not the only two. I've had horror stories like this. I have at least 3 after this. I'm just not comfortable talking about them online because those were a little bit more serious. I'm not really trying to like get into that. These 2 are kind of like the fun ones, like the stupid ones where the guy were a total asshole, right?
And you're not too involved. And, like,
yeah, and it's like not too emotionally involved and whatever. Because like shit happened after that even. I was still kind of naive. But yeah, so if you've seen it, you know that there is a certain pattern. So I'm only telling these stories just to say, one, it's not really everybody that's like this, but there is like a certain aspect of being a foreigner and being a foreigner of color that you will still face some stereotypes. So people will tend to think that you're like overly sexual. If you have like a voluptuous body, then you're like, oh, she must be good at this and I should date her for the experience type of deal. And when I realized sort of that pattern, I realized that a lot of the vocabulary that these guys were, you know, using is like, I like foreign girls, I like black girls, or like, I don't know, like you have a nice body, like just things that would be harmless from anybody else, but in this context we're a little bit like, okay,
it's a red flag.
It's giving
like,
fetishism,
yeah.
okay? And so if you go online, especially on Tinder, I'm not saying Tinder is trash in Korea, but it's trash in Korea. And there's also a myth, which is trasher. You will find a lot of these guys. So what I'm just trying to say is that please be super, super, super duper careful
and listen to your instincts,
Yes.
because there was a lot of instances where you could have been like, oh no, don't do it.
But if
you
you're in
still
front
do
of the
it.
person, you're not gonna be like, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
you're problematic, I'm gonna leave. No, you're gonna like, okay, that was weird.
myself from the situation and bye.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you should do.
You're not gonna do that. You're gonna try to understand the person and be like,
Yeah,
oh, maybe I'm like
yeah.
being paranoid, blah blah blah. But no, actually, you're not being paranoid.
A lot of times you're actually right. And
Yeah. What I've learned from this, and the only thing that I can repeat to you guys is definitely, if the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth is that, oh my god, I love foreign girls. Oh my god, I love black girls. Oh my god, I love Latino girls. It doesn't matter if he's pointing out your ethnicity or your nationality and says, I only date so-and-so girl.
Bye.
It's a red flag.
It's a freaking red
Doesn't
flag.
matter where he's from. It doesn't have to be Korean. Another thing you need to avoid is the guys who only want to see you like, oh, let's see after work. Like I get off work at like 7 or 8 or whatever. Because I've had that. I have this guy say, oh, I get off work at 9 p.m. Can we meet after that at the freaking river?
This guy. Yeah.
First of all, let me tell you, I've been in the Korean company, and we know how the subway is at certain times. People get off at 6.
Yeah, calm down.
Some people would do overtime, but people get off at 6 p.m. I'm sorry, you have time to go.
We're gonna find a time where you get up at 6 and we're gonna meet at 6.
You have the time to go on date at 6:30 where the sun is still out and there are people.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody tells you, oh, let's meet at whatever time, please stop it.
Oh, then the weekend lunch, let's go.
And actually, if I find this video, I will try to link it in the description. But there is actually a video made by these 2 French girls, and they were talking about how these guys have platforms, like Korean platform, where they talk about like their foreign conquest, and literally they will start by remember?
No.
Yes, we saw that video about like the white horse or whatever. And
yeah.
And these guys start by telling you, oh, come, and like they try to get you to meet their friends for proof that they're like hanging out with you. And this is 2 examples out of 5 stories. Those 3, again, I'm not getting in there, but just to say, like, we're not taking these patterns from just these 2 stories. There's more. I'm just trying to say, if you're new here, please be careful. And if your friends are telling you, oh, we're gonna introduce you to this guy, you can trust that a little bit more, because a lot of people create relationship with like setting up people. Is still a really big thing here. So I don't know, if you can avoid apps for now.
No, I mean, if you want something serious, otherwise
if you want something serious, just like avoid the apps, and like probably speaking Korean would be better as well, because a lot of people take advantage of the fact that you don't speak Korean, and they will go and like talk crazy stuff about you and try to like show you off as proof or whatever.
Hope you learned something from this.
Yeah.
From her past mistakes.
Oh my god. Dude, you have no idea. Yeah. When it came to boys, it was awful.
Boys?
Oh no, it was terrible. It was terrible.
But then at the same time, remember the video we made about like it's not that bad being black here?
Yeah.
It's still not as bad.
That's the flip side.
Right.
Anyway, so that was just a little story. That was triggered by like a very old picture that we came across. And we were like, let me tell this story.
Anyway, it was fun to reminisce.
Yeah, so yeah, shout out to Kevin and Robert.
Hope you're doing well, people.
No, I hope they're doing terrible.
No, they're doing well. Like they grew up as well. I hope
the first one, I hope he's doing well. The first from the first Storytime, he, you know.
Kevin, I hope you're doing well.
Robert, you can choke.
Morning. Morning. Not you. You can choke.
No, we're not wishing anybody anything.
Just like.
Anyway, see you guys in our next video.
Bye.
Bye.